Will replacing all of these clogged nozzles and getting the last stubborn tire mounted finally get this ag sprayer field ready after sitting neglected for months? Hi and welcome back to Whitetail Acres Farm. In one of our last videos, we pulled this ag sprayer out of storage to inspect it before spraying season, and we found a problem. Not all of the nozzles were firing. The previous owner didn't maintain this equipment well, and several nozzles, filters, tips, and caps were so caked with old chemical residue that they were basically useless. So we ordered replacement parts, and those have arrived. But before we could tear into the nozzles and tips, we had one loose end to tie up. When we left off last time, we had gotten 3 of our 4 replacement tires mounted. That 4th tire had some water inside it from sitting who knows how long, and we needed to get that drained before it could go on. We got that taken care of in between videos, so our first order of business today is getting that final tire on and closing out this part of the project.
We are adding some of this anti-seize compound to the threads of these lug bolts just to make it easier for next time it has to come apart. It should prevent rust, and also to properly torque a nut or a bolt you have to have lubrication, so this will function as all of those things. Expecting right.
Ryan had pulled off the old tire, started mounting the new tire. Everything was going smoothly. He was almost finished up securing those lug nuts when absolutely out of nowhere, a pop-up rain shower just rolled on in. It came down pretty hard, so we ended up having to retreat into the workshop to wait it out. It only lasted about 15 minutes or so, but it brought our progress to a complete halt right when we were about to wrap up that tire. Now, was it inconvenient? Absolutely. But I want to pause here and say something. We haven't had much rain lately. Our hayfields and pastures have been so dry. Every little bit of rain that comes our way helps. So even though we were standing in the workshop, watching our project get rained out for a few minutes, we were grateful for it. When you manage land, you learn pretty quickly not to complain about the rain. As soon as the rain passed, Ryan finished securing that last tire and checked the air pressure in all of them. 4 new tires, all done. Then it was time for the main event, opening up those booms and getting after those nozzles and tips.
We're just checking tire pressure now. Usually they put more air in it to seat the bead when they mount the tire, But I'm going to set these at about 20 pounds per square inch. That's usually pretty good for implement tires. We'll see what it looks like when there's a load on there. The sidewall doesn't specify anything other than a maximum 35 psi to seat the beads, so we're going to start with 20 and see how that looks. Apparently it doesn't hold much grease.
Ryan removed the nozzle tube that was giving us the hardest time and replaced the nozzles, which took a bit more time and care as the screws did not want to come out very easily, but with the right tools, we got it done.
I don't know what that stuff is, some kind of chemical that was used for the sprayer. We're just spraying water and an organic liquid foliar feeding fertilizer. All right, there's the finished product. Let's see if we can get it back on the sprayer and maybe we can get water coming out these jets now. This was a good process that we had to work through because now we know how the sprayer operates. So when we need maintenance, repairs, we have a good understanding of how everything works.
Now, we didn't blindly replace all of the tips and caps. The first thing we did was swap out the ones we already knew were bad, the ones that we had identified during the inspection in the last video. Once those were in, we fired up the sprayer to see how the rest of the booms performed under pressure and replaced the rest as needed. Running the sprayer with the new nozzles in place let us see the full picture. There were a handful of additional nozzles that were underperforming, maybe spraying unevenly or barely putting out anything, so we replaced those too. We also discovered a section of hose that needed attention. The fittings were loose and seeping, so Ryan took care of that. Then, while we were at it, Ryan inspected the PTO shaft. It's functional for now, but after looking at the wear, it's something we're probably going to need to replace down the road. We're adding it to the list, and on a farm, that list never really shrinks.
Take a look at this. Bring your camera in. We're going to replace this drive shaft because somebody changed the length of it, which is perfectly fine to do, but there's too much play in there. And then on top of that, you can see how much play is in these U-joints right now. That should not be like that. And the same thing over here. So we're going to put a whole new drive shaft on there. It'll have a guard on it, so it'll be a little bit safer. but it'll be balanced and it'll spin true, so we're not putting undue pressure on the bearings in the front end of this pump. Do it right or don't do it at all.
Now, if you're wondering why we had spent so much time on the nozzles, tips, and filters, here's the thing. When you're spraying liquid fertilizer on hayfields, coverage is everything. If some nozzles are putting out half the rate of others, you get uneven application. That means some areas get over-fertilized and some get under-fertilized. You're wasting input costs and your yield suffers. Every nozzle on that boom needs to deliver the same rate at the same pressure, or you're just guessing. The previous owner clearly didn't flush the sprayer properly after use. Chemical residue dried inside the nozzles and filters, and over time it hardened into a crust that restricted the flow. This is why winterizing and flushing equipment matters, especially with anything that handles liquid fertilizers, herbicides, or pesticides. I'll be honest, the whole process of diagnosing and fixing these issues took longer than we had expected, and there were moments of frustration. When you're chasing problems on equipment you didn't originally own and didn't maintain from day one, you inherit someone else's shortcuts. But here's what we gained from it. We now understand exactly how the sprayer works, every nozzle, every filter, and every hose fitting. We've had our hands on it, and when something goes wrong in the field this season, we'll know exactly where to look. That's something that you can't get from a manual. You earn it by getting frustrated, solving one problem at a time, and finishing the job anyway. All in all, it was a productive and successful few days. Every nozzle and tip on those booms is now spraying correctly, and we cannot wait to put this machine to work on our hayfields this week. We'll be spraying liquid organic fertilizer and giving those fields the nutrition that they need. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more equipment repair adventures, along with everything else that we have going on the farm. Thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next one.